Level 1, the loser. The house always wins, kid. And right now, you're the proof. White suit. Smile. Pat on the shoulder. Marcus just ate your father alive and he's greeting you like it's a hotel lobby. You're 19. Homeless. You and your sister sleep in a 2003 Honda Civic. You shower at a gym. Not for the gym. Your arms confirm this. Your only valuable asset is a $5 chip from the casino floor. You are somehow the most pathetic person in a building full of gambling addicts. Your father, table 7. $40,000 he wrote on a napkin every January and called a retirement plan on a roulette wheel. Not poker, not blackjack, roulette. Around hour 8 he decided he'd cracked it. The napkin lasted 3 hours. He's still going. 2 hours later. Trying to trade his wedding ring for $200 of credit at Cashier Cage. Ring's worth $400. On a generous day, he still thinks he's one hand away. Your sister is 16. Marcus saw how broke your family was and put her on the floor serving cocktails. Fake ID. When you're that desperate, Marcus handing your sister a job isn't a red flag, it's the best news you've had all month. Your mom left 2 weeks ago with a man named Greg who sells Herbalife. There is nothing more to say about Greg. That night you decided to take everything Marcus built, and 16 years from now, you will. Level 2, the home game host. The poker night started because you needed $20 and you knew how to deal. 6 chairs, garage sale table, no liquor license. This is your apartment. Or, technically the apartment of 3 other guys who let you sleep on a fold-out couch for $200 a month. The roommates. A DoorDash driver, a guy between things for 11 months, and a man who plays World of Warcraft for a living and outturns the other 2 combined. You stopped asking questions a while back. You don't drink. You don't play. You take 5% of every pot. You tell them it's for supplies. Nobody asks what supplies cost because they're too busy losing to each other. Every home game has the same 5 characters. The dentist lecturing the table on pot odds. The bro who calls everything interesting and folds. The tight aggressive nobody likes. The guy who came to drink. And the quiet one in the corner who actually wins, says nothing, and leaves before midnight. The dentist tips best when he loses fast. Brandon. $80 buy-in. Down to his last 40. You can see in his face the exact face your father made at table 7 that the next 20 is going on whatever hand comes next. Doesn't matter what he holds. Brandon has a master's degree. He puts the 20 down and loses the way you knew he would. The thesis. People don't lose because they're dumb. They lose because they believe the next hand fixes the last one. Marcus built a $14 million a year business on that belief. Marcus runs a Super Bowl ad. You watch it twice on a phone with a cracked screen. Your sister texts asking for $300 for textbooks. You send $400. You don't ask about textbooks. Poker rooms make money 2 ways, rake and tells. The rake is math. The tells are free if you grew up watching one specific person lose for 7 months in a windowless room. You did. By week 6, your hands stop shaking when you shuffle. The 5% works. What you don't have is a room with more than 6 chairs, and what stands between you and one is a license, a lease, and a conversation with people watching you closer than you know. Level 3, the machine route owner. You find a broken machine on a Wednesday at 2 a.m. in a bar called Nick's. Smells like Lysol and old beer. The machine isn't broken. It's been skimmed for $80 a week, 3 months running, by the bartender Ray who is currently behind the counter pretending to count olives. You don't say anything that night. You don't say anything the next week. The week after, you replace Ray over a phone call that lasts 90 seconds. You don't tell him which part you knew. He doesn't ask. 8 machines, 7 bars. Your business card says gaming route operator. That's the industry's polite term for a guy who drives a van to a bar at noon and opens a slot cabinet with a key that smells like cigarettes. Casino people laugh at route operators at conferences. Casino people also started here. They don't tell you that part. The math, machines return between 87 and 92% over their lifetime. Lifetime means hundreds of thousands of spins. The guy who drinks 2 beers and plays for 20 minutes is mathematically guaranteed to lose. The cabinet doesn't care that he's calling his wife from the parking lot afterward. Profit isn't the big payout. It's the $7 loss, 11,000 times a month, from people who walked in for 1 beer. Every bar has the same regular. The man who plays the same machine every Wednesday for 4 hours, calls it by a name, usually Lucky, in one case Brenda, and brings it more emotional commitment than his marriage. You do not ask questions about Brenda. A state regulator named Patterson has a son in travel hockey. You ask about the kid at a licensing event. Patterson starts returning your calls within the same business day. 2 of your bars carry Marcus's machines. Same logo as the chip in your pocket. You pull the payout data and run the numbers. Yours outperform his by 8%. You file that. What you need next is a door with your own name on it. That requires a license. And a license means Marcus stops being a name on a billboard and starts being a man whose office knows yours. Level 4, the card room owner. Marcus walks into your card room at 7:45 on a Thursday, 26 minutes after you open the doors for the first time, and orders a club soda from your bar. Not a phone call, not a lawyer. Him, white suit, the friendly face. He looks at the room like a man taking inventory. 27 months of paperwork to get to this moment, 12 tables. The state caps card room rake at $5 to $8 a hand, and you net $400 to $700 per table per night before dealer wages, security, and the 11% in mandatory regulatory fees nobody mentions during the licensing process. After all of it, you take home $40 per table per night. You needed 12 tables to make rent. You have 12 tables. What card rooms actually sell, that yours doesn't yet, is everything around the tables, the bar, the food, the side games, the tournament buy-ins. The rake keeps the lights on. The rest keeps you in business. Yours has lights. Just lights. Marcus finishes the club soda and walks over. I think we should talk about working together. You say no. The $5 chip is in your pocket. He doesn't see it. You don't show him. Within 90 days, a state license compliance review opens without explanation. Your landlord triples the rent citing. Commercial reassessment. And 2 dealers call out sick on the same Saturday and never come back. They cite personal reasons. The personal reason was named Marcus. Your sister calls at 11 that night. She's been drinking. Marcus asked about you tonight. You ask if she's safe. She hangs up. You sit with that for the length of time it takes to understand the war just changed shape. The most valuable hire in this business is whoever the other side almost hired and didn't pay enough. Everybody knows everybody. You track down a compliance lawyer Marcus tried to bring on 2 years ago. He takes your offer in 6 minutes. He doesn't explain why. He doesn't have to. The chip is warm now. You notice you've been holding it during phone calls without deciding to. Through the lawyer conversations. Through the licensing responses. Through the call to your sister that she didn't answer the next morning, or the morning after. What you don't yet know is what Marcus does when bureaucratic pressure isn't enough. The license clears 7 months later. The full casino application goes in the same week. He'll have something different ready for that one. Level 5. The small casino operator. Getting a casino license takes 3 to 4 months. The State Gaming Control Board investigates every year of your life back to age 14. Every dollar, every job, every address. They're not trying to approve you, they're looking for a reason to say no. Your record is clean because you were too broke to have one. The investigator finds a sandwich shop pay stub from when you were 17, confirms it, closes the folder. Done. Your old roommate, the couch guy, got denied for a root license the same month. His crime. He sold a Pokémon card collection on eBay in 2014 and forgot to report the income. That's all it takes. License clears Tuesday. You open Friday. Marcus finds out by Monday. A financial reporter runs a story about irregular cash flow patterns at your casino. The source is anonymous. The source is Marcus. Your bank calls the next week wanting to restructure your credit line. Restructure means reduce. Reduce means close. Then your floor manager takes a meeting on a Thursday and doesn't come back Monday. $50,000 signing bonus from Marcus. Tuesday start. Marcus even had his HR call you at 9 a.m., not as a courtesy. He wanted you to hear it from his office first. 3 moves in 3 weeks. Marcus didn't invent this playbook. He's just been running it longer than anyone. You run cleaner than he does. Cameras on every inch of floor. Books open to compliance before regulators ask. The cleaner you run, the angrier he gets. The floor at any working casino has the same characters. The grandma who's played slot 47 every Tuesday for 9 years and considers it her personal property. The 24-year-old in a rented suit losing his tax return on blackjack while checking his phone between hands. 4 bridesmaids who'll spend $1,200 by midnight and post about it from the elevator. And at the high roller table, everyone is quiet because actually losing real money makes people quiet in a way very few things do. Grandma wins $4,800 on slot 47. You comp her a steak. She tips the dealer $40 and tells him he has kind eyes. You like her. You don't tell her. You offer your sister a job. Front desk. Double what Marcus pays, no nights, nobody looking the other way about her age. She says no, doesn't say why. You don't ask. 6 months later, the floor manager who took Marcus's 50,000 shows up, asking for his old job back. You walk him to the door. You don't say much. He knows. The floor runs at 68 degrees. You wear a jacket inside. Above 72, people sit. Sitting people stop betting. What beats Marcus at this size isn't a cleaner operation. It's something he stopped building years ago and doesn't know he's missing. Level 6, the resort casino developer? A man proposes to his girlfriend at table 9 on a Saturday night. You comp the dinner from the back of the steakhouse, $340 of food, 2 glasses of champagne she didn't finish, a chocolate dome with a ring under it that was his idea, not yours. He cries a little. She says yes. You watch from across the room and understand immediately. This is the product, not the floor, not the tables. The weekend they fly home talking about. What the industry analysts know and most casino owners don't act on. Gaming revenue at the top properties runs under 40% of total income. The rest is rooms, restaurants, shows, conference bookings, and a Cirque du Soleil knockoff playing 2 sets a night to people who already had 3 drinks at the bar. Vegas figured this out in 1989. Marcus is still optimizing the floor and wondering why margins compress every quarter. You stop competing for gamblers. You start competing for their entire weekend. The resort has a hotel, 2 restaurants, a steakhouse, a 400-seat theater, a pool that gets used 4 months a year, and a spa for men who would never call it a spa. They call it the recovery center. You let them. Marcus opens a steakhouse 6 months after yours, closes it in 8. You don't comment. You file it. Then your sister shows up on a Tuesday with a duffel bag and no explanation. You hand her a key card. Room 1102. She stays a week, then a month. Then she doesn't leave. You don't ask about Marcus. She doesn't offer. One morning she's at the front desk before her shift exists. You don't put her on payroll for 2 weeks because you need her to ask. She asks on day 11. Casino design is psychological warfare disguised as interior design. No clocks, no windows. The carpet patterns are loud and disorienting on purpose. They push foot traffic toward the machines. The route from any bar to any bathroom runs past 47 games on the way. Free drinks if you're playing, which sounds generous until you run the math on impaired decisions at a $25 minimum table. The cashier cage is at the back of every floor ever built, because walking to cash out means walking past every reason not to. Your father stood at that cage once. You know exactly what it does. The wives of the whales book the spa. They decide where their husbands lose next. Every major property figured this out in the early 2000s and called the new amenities lifestyle. Marcus still calls his spa the spa. An envelope arrives on your desk on a Wednesday afternoon with one name on it. Mr. Chen. $12 million a year in theoretical loss. Marcus's longest relationship in the industry. The booking agency wants to know if you have availability. Level 7, the whale handler. Mr. Chen sits down at your private baccarat table at 9:47 on a Friday with $4 million in transferred credit waiting in his account. The first thing he does is look at the porcelain cup on the table next to him without picking it up. The cup contains his oolong brewed 3 minutes ago, sitting at 71 degrees. He doesn't acknowledge it. That's the response. That means it's right. 40 people. That's the actual number. 40 whales losing somewhere between 50,000 and 5 million a year, and those 40 are the casino. Every other guest, bridesmaids, bachelor parties, retirees at the penny slots is decoration. Expensive, necessary decoration, but decoration. The 40 are the building. Marcus has owned most of them for decades. What Marcus gets wrong, whales don't come to win. If they wanted to win, they'd play differently. They come to feel chosen. To feel like the room rearranged itself before they walked in. The casino that understands this owns them. The one that just extends credit and upgrades the suite does not. Theoretical loss is where Marcus bleeds. The industry comps a player back up to 40% of what the math says they should lose. Marcus runs at 30. Sounds like a savings. It's a 10-point reason to leave. The whales follow types. The Hong Kong businessman who plays baccarat only, never looks at the dealer, requires his chips arranged in a specific order before each hand. The Texas oil guy who tips $1,000 on arrival and asks the cocktail waitress questions in a tone that suggests he doesn't know the answer matters. The crypto guy in his mid-30s who films himself losing $80,000 on a single number for his Twitter broke inside 18 months. Every time. Mr. Chen's account shows 12 million in annual theoretical loss. He's been with Marcus since 2004. The cup he's not picking up sits in a locked cabinet on your property with his name engraved on the front of the cabinet. Not a label, the name. He notices. 6 hours. 1.8 million lost. He tips your dealer 20,000 and books his next trip with you on the way out. Which is how he tells Marcus he's leaving without going through Marcus's office. Your sister runs your VIP host operation now. She doesn't speak Mandarin. She remembers everything else, which suite, which dealer, his daughter's name at university, his table minimum at 2 a.m. versus 10 p.m. The good VIP hosts are paid like surgeons and understood by almost nobody outside the floor. She is the best one you've seen. You start drinking the tea yourself in the mornings. You don't like it. You drink it anyway, which tells you something about what this has cost that the financials don't. A week later, a booking agent contact mentions Marcus's host went to the baccarat table where Mr. Chen has played for 19 years and found someone else sitting there. Marcus's name gets quieter in industry rooms after that. You stop hearing it before you notice you've stopped. Then your phone rings, his name on the screen. You let it ring once more than you need to. Level 8. The consolidator. Marcus is 22 minutes into his pitch when the word synergy comes out of his mouth. Once. He moves past it fast, which tells you someone warned him. You're across the table from him at your steakhouse neutral ground that happens. To be yours watching him try to sell you the merger of his operation with yours. Same opening line he used years ago. Slightly older voice. His flagship is losing $340,000 a month. You know because you have a contact who has a contact at the commercial lending desk of the bank that holds his credit line. In this industry, mid-level bank relationship managers talk after their second drink at the gaming finance conference to people who seem worth impressing. You spent 3 years being worth impressing. You never had to ask. He ordered the rib-eye. He used the coaster without being told. The pitch has structured talent access, consolidated booking leverage, reduced regulatory friction across combined portfolios, and he's rehearsed it. The synergy line slips out at minute 14. What synergy means in a casino industry meeting. The person saying it is losing money and needs access to yours without describing the transaction that way. Once it appears, the meeting is already decided. The other party just hasn't said so. Your sister walks past the table in a manager's blazer, tablet in hand, heading for the VIP corridor. Marcus tracks her the way people track movement in a room. He doesn't recognize her. He didn't recognize you at 19 either. You file this without expression. You reach into your pocket. The chip. $5 blue, the logo half gone, 16 years of pocket wear on both faces. You set it on the table between you. He looks at it. You watch him try to place the denomination, the property, the context. He turns it slightly with one finger. Nothing arrives. I'll buy you out for less than the land is worth. He doesn't answer. You don't repeat yourself. There's a long beat. Somewhere on the floor below, a machine pays out rising electronic tone, then silence again. He signs 3 weeks later. Your front desk keeps a cup of Bic pens beside the check-in terminal. He uses one of those. You watch his hand move across the page. Your own hands rest flat on the table still. They haven't shaken since you were 19, in a parking lot, doing math on a comp coupon. You're noticing this right now, as the signature finishes and the pen sets down. You pick up the chip. You put it back in your pocket. One more place to take it. Level 9, the house. A dealer at table 14 calls you sir at 9 p.m. on a Wednesday and gestures toward an open seat. You decline. He doesn't recognize your face yet. None of them do. The acquisition closed 9 days ago. The trade press covered it for 9 days. Then a regional airline announced bankruptcy and the news cycle moved on. So did the industry. 16 years of building got 11 column inches and a mention in 2 newsletters. This is what it looks like at the top. When you buy a competitor's property, you keep the carpet for 90 days. Not for sentiment, for orientation. Regulars find their way through a casino by feel, and the carpet is a landmark the same way a bar stool is. You replace it on a Tuesday. Nobody complains. Nobody mentions it. You walk to the cashier cage, the same cage. Different carpet, different lighting. Same position at the back of the floor because the cage is always at the back. That's the design. That's always been the design. And you have stood on both sides of this counter in the same building, 16 years apart. The air is identical. Cold AC, polyester carpet smell, the low electronic hum of 200 machines running simultaneously. Some things you don't renovate because some things aren't broken. Your father is sober. He lives in a studio in Reno and calls on birthdays. You answer. Your sister is somewhere on the floor behind you, running the VIP transition for the evening. She doesn't need you watching. She hasn't for a while. You take the chip out. The cashier has been at this cage 22 years. He was here the night your father stood where you're standing. He doesn't remember you. He shouldn't. Cash this out. He runs it through without looking up. $5. He counts back a $5 bill and slides it across the counter. You fold it once and put it in your wallet behind your driver's license. You stand there another moment. The realization arrives quiet. The house always wins. The math was right. You are the house now. That fixed nothing. And there is nothing else to do but go run the casino. If this one stayed with you, like and drop a comment where you're watching from. Subscribe for more.